During the day, Robert Mitchell was a quiet math teacher. But at night, in his dreams, he was still in Kandahar, treating wounded soldiers. The reflexes he gained in 15 years of battlefields had never left him. The moment the school bus overturned, the math teacher disappeared, and the battlefield medic returned. Welcome to Human Stories. Before we begin this powerful story, tell us in the comments what city you're watching from today, and if you believe real heroes' stories deserve to be told. Hit that subscribe button. These stories matter. It was 7:30 a.m. at Lincoln High School. Robert Mitchell had arrived early to his classroom as always. He was 58 years old, medium height, gray-haired, a gentle math teacher. He had been teaching at the same school for 35 years. Students knew him as Mr. Mitchell, calm, patient, somewhat boring math teacher. He always wore the same brown cardigans, carried the same leather bag. He never spoke loudly, never got angry. "Good morning, Mr. Mitchell," said Sarah, one of the students. "Good morning, Sarah," Robert replied in a calm tone. "Today we'll work on probability calculations." Students thought to themselves, boring math again. But Robert always had other things on his mind. Every morning when entering the classroom, the same thought: I hope there are no emergencies today. Because Robert's past had a very different period for math teaching. From 1985 to 2000, Robert Mitchell served as a paramedic in the U.S. Army Special Forces, Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia. He practiced battlefield medicine for 15 years in the world's most dangerous places. His military code name was Lifeline, because he created miracles even in situations where no one could survive. 1991, Gulf War. 1993, Somalia. 1999, Kosovo. Robert had saved the lives of 147 soldiers over 15 years. He was legendary in battlefield medical intervention. But in 2000, everything changed. On his last mission in Afghanistan, Robert's team was ambushed. 8 soldiers were wounded, 3 critically. Robert intervened for hours, but couldn't save young soldier Danny Williams. 19-year-old Danny died in Robert's arms. That night, Robert swore to himself, "I will never cause anyone's death again." He left the Army and returned to America. He became a math teacher. Because math was safe, no one died in math. For 35 years, Robert was a perfect math teacher. He never caused problems, always came on time, taught his lessons meticulously. But his colleagues noticed he was a bit strange. Robert always carried first aid supplies in his bag. They wondered, why does a math teacher carry a tourniquet? Robert also had strange things at home: trauma kits, military medical books, field surgery equipment, as if he was going to the battlefield at any moment. "Robert, aren't you a bit paranoid?" his neighbor had asked. "Being prepared doesn't hurt," Robert had replied. Every night Robert had the same dream, in Afghanistan, looking into Danny Williams' eyes. "Will you save me?" Danny would ask. Robert would wake up, sweating. He couldn't sleep for hours. Psychologist Dr. Sarah Chen had diagnosed him with PTSD. "Robert, you're experiencing survivor guilt. You blame yourself for that soldier you couldn't save. But I was a medic. I should have saved him." "You saved 147 people, Robert. Not being able to save one person isn't your fault." But Robert had never forgiven himself. May 15th, 2023. A science museum trip was planned for Lincoln High School 11th graders. 45 students, 3 teachers. Robert was one of the accompanying teachers. "Mr. Mitchell, are you coming too?" asked student Mark. "Yes, I want to show the connections between math and science." Actually, Robert wasn't someone who enjoyed trips, but school protocol required a teacher to accompany each trip. That morning, while Robert was preparing his bag, he hesitated. Should he take first aid supplies? He hadn't used them in 35 years. "I'll take them," he said to himself. "It won't hurt." At 8 a.m., the bus was in front of the school. 45 students were excited. Robert, biology teacher Miss Davis, and chemistry teacher Mr. Brown were accompanying them. Students were singing songs and joking on the bus. Robert sat in the back seat, quietly watching. "Mr. Mitchell, what were trips like when you were a student?" Sarah asked. Robert hesitated. He remembered not his student years, but his military years. "Very different," he said quietly. When the bus left the city and entered the mountain road, Robert felt uncomfortable. This road resembled the trails in Afghanistan. At 10:30, disaster struck. The bus driver braked suddenly. An oncoming truck had left its lane. The driver turned the wheel, but it was too late. The bus rolled 4 meters into the creek, breaking through the roadside barriers. Screams, glass breaking sounds, metal creaking. Robert immediately activated war mode. The moment the bus overturned, Robert's military training kicked in. 15 years of battlefield reflexes activated instantly. First, he checked his own condition. Conscious, mobile, no injuries. Second, he scanned the environment. Bus on its side, students screaming, some injured. Third, he determined priorities. Find the most critically injured. Perform life-saving intervention. Math teacher Robert Mitchell disappeared. Special Forces medic Lifeline returned. "Be quiet," Robert's voice came out commandingly. Students fell silent in surprise. Mr. Mitchell had never spoken like this. Robert took out a trauma kit from his bag. Students were surprised. Why was a math teacher carrying military medical supplies? "Miss Davis, Mr. Brown, you call ambulances. I'll check the injured." Robert began systematically checking students. He applied military triage procedure. Green, Lightly injured. Can wait. Yellow. Moderately injured. Intervention within 30 minutes. Red. Critically injured. Immediate intervention. Black. Dead 16-year-old Mark was severely injured in the head. Conscious, but suspected skull fracture. There could be internal bleeding. Robert checked Mark's pupils. Unequal size. Brain swelling starting. Mark, can you hear me? Yes, Mr. Mitchell. But my head hurts a lot. Robert took out an IV kit from his bag. Students were shocked. How was a math teacher starting an IV? 17-year-old Jessica had a compound fracture in her right leg. Bone protruding through skin. Heavy bleeding. Robert immediately applied a tourniquet. Bleeding stopped. Jessica, it's going to hurt a bit now, but I'll save you. Robert intervened in the wound with field surgery procedure. Students couldn't believe it. Mr. Mitchell was working like a surgeon. 15-year-old David was unconscious. Chest trauma. Couldn't breathe. Pneumothorax. Lung collapse. Robert took out a 14-gauge needle from his bag. He needed to perform chest decompression. Mr. Brown, hold his head. Robert inserted the needle into David's chest. He heard the sound of air escaping. The lung re-expanded. David began to breathe. Students watched in horror. This couldn't be Mr. Mitchell. Robert worked nonstop for 45 minutes. Opened 4 lines for 8 students. Applied splints to 5 fractures. Sutured 12 wounds. Stabilized 3 shot cases bandaged. 6 minor lacerations. Students didn't recognize him anymore. This wasn't the calm math teacher. This was a professional combat medic. After 45 minutes, the first ambulance arrived. When paramedics saw the situation, they were surprised. Who performed the intervention? Asked the leading paramedic. The math teacher, said Miss Davis. The paramedic couldn't believe it. Only an experienced trauma surgeon could perform such professional medical intervention. Sir, who are you really? Robert hesitated. I'm just a math teacher. 8 critically injured students were taken to the hospital. Doctors examined Robert's interventions. Dr. Harrison, head of emergency. Who performed these interventions? Math teacher Robert Mitchell. Impossible. This is military field medicine. Requires 20 years of experience. What Robert had done. Mark's brain swelling was stopped. Jessica's leg was saved. David's life was saved. 5 students were saved from major surgery. The accident made local news. Math teacher saves 23 students. Robert didn't want media attention, but couldn't escape it. News reporter. Mr. Mitchell, where did you learn this medical knowledge? Internet, said Robert. He was lying. But these are military medical procedures. You must have taken civilian courses. No, just curiosity. The reporter was suspicious, but Robert didn't say more. When students returned from the hospital, they looked at Mr. Mitchell differently. Sarah. Mr. Mitchell, are you really a math teacher? Robert hesitated. Did he have to reveal his 35-year secret? Yes, Sarah. I'm a math teacher. But what you did on that bus? Normal people can't do that. Adrenaline, Sarah. Adrenaline makes people do many things. Principal Dr. Williams called Robert to his office. Robert, I've known you for 35 years. You're not just a math teacher. Robert remained silent. What you did on that bus? This is professional medical training. Dr. Williams, Robert, tell me the truth. Who are you really? Robert thought for a long time. Then he decided. I worked as a paramedic in the U.S. Army Special Forces for 15 years, said Robert. Dr. Williams was shocked. 1985 to 2000. Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia. I saved the lives of 147 soldiers. Why did you start teaching? Because I couldn't save one soldier. Danny Williams, he was 19 years old. Robert's eyes filled with tears. That night, I swore I would never cause anyone's death again. Math was safe. No one died in math. Robert decided to talk to his students in his classroom. You've learned about my past. Do you have questions? Mark. Mr. Mitchell, what was it like in war? It was terrible, Mark. Every day, I saw my friends get wounded. I saved some. I couldn't save some. Jessica. Why didn't you tell us? Because that life was over, Jessica. I'm a math teacher now. Or I thought I was. David. But when we got hurt, you became that man again. Robert smiled. Yes, David. Some things never go away. The story spread throughout the school. Teachers, students, parents. Everyone began to see Robert differently. One parent. Our children are very lucky. They were saved by a real hero. Robert was uncomfortable with these compliments. I'm not a hero. I just did my job. But no one saw him as just a math teacher anymore. Robert added first aid training to his math lesson. Math isn't just numbers, children. It's also life-saving calculation. Students were eagerly waiting for math class for the first time. Robert taught them drug dosage calculations, blood loss calculations, time management, and emergency triage mathematics. After the accident, Robert's PTSD symptoms increased. Danny Williams' dreams began coming more frequently. Dr. Sarah Chen. Robert, you were struggling with survivor guilt, but now you've saved 23 children. This doesn't change the fact that I couldn't save Danny, but you've saved 147 plus 23 equals 170 people, Robert. Maybe Danny's death changed your life and enabled you to save more people. This perspective made Robert think. That night in his dream, he saw Danny again. But this time, it was different. I don't blame you, Robert, said Danny. You couldn't save me, but you saved 170 people. I'm just one person. You saved 170 people. This makes my death valuable. Robert was crying in his dream. Can't you forgive yourself now? Asked Danny. Robert no longer hid his past. He told his students and colleagues about his military experiences. War is terrible, children, but sometimes it's necessary, and innocent people always get hurt. Your job is to prevent these wars in the future. Students began to see Robert as a mentor. Robert no longer experienced conflict between his 2 identities. Math teacher and former Special Forces medic, both were him. I am Robert Mitchell, he would say. Math teacher and former soldier, both are my identity. Students, Mr. Mitchell Which one is real? Both are real. Humans are complex beings. They're not one-dimensional. After Robert's success, the school made first aid training mandatory. Principal Dr. Williams. Every teacher should know basic life support. Robert began giving these training. He was no longer just a math teacher, but also a medical instructor. As Robert's retirement approached, he gave his final message to his students. I taught you math for 35 years, but I'm giving you the most important lesson. Last, life is full of unexpected moments. In these moments, you show who you are. I lived as a math teacher, but when necessary, I became a military medic. Whatever you become, when necessary, you must be able to transform into a hero. In Robert's last lesson, the entire school gathered. The 35-year math teacher was writing on the blackboard for the last time. Life equals experience times learning plus service to others. This formula isn't just math, children. This is the life formula. Experience. Accept your past. Learning. Keep learning. Service. Serve others. Students gave him a standing ovation. Robert Mitchell is 63 years old today. Retired, but he still gives part-time first aid training at community college. The 23 students he saved in that accident are still in contact with him. Each sees Robert as a life-changing mentor. Robert's story teaches us this: the pain of our past doesn't have to define us, but that pain can make us stronger, more knowledgeable, more useful. For 35 years, Robert was a math teacher, but in a moment of accident, his true identity was revealed: a life-saving healer. Sometimes the greatest heroes are those who appear most ordinary. They live quietly, act when necessary. Robert's PTSD continues. He still sees Danny Williams in his dream, but he no longer blames himself, because Danny's death enabled Robert to save 170 people. If this story affected you, share your thoughts in the comments. Do you know someone like Robert? In your life, quiet but strong, simple but deep. Subscribe to Human Stories to ensure stories like this continue to be told, because every ordinary person has an extraordinary story hidden inside. Until the next story, look a little more carefully at the teachers, doctors, service workers around you. Maybe they too have secret superpowers.